Buy my program when you fire me? No. Okay. Long story short, I was employed at a rather large factory which is one of the largest plant-based companies in the world, recently bought by an investment firm not so long ago. Anyways, I developed a program which was used at the factory. It could tell whenever any machines were not running, even if it was due to a manual stop or anything else. My program knew the reason why the machine was idling. This program made it so much easier for the entire factory. Workers were happy because they didn't need to do any manual work and write down every time the machine stopped. Lead up to about a year ago. Factory appoints a new chief. All the old employees that were in a leader position was let go because it was time for new blood to come in. There was a lot of talk about selling off parts of the factory, including machines, and so on. This included programs that I had developed, including the program that identified whenever a machine stopped. I developed this program on my spare time, showed it to the old management, and they liked it enough that they wanted to use it on every station in the factory. Every machine was to use this program. All that had to be done was for the program to be maintained weekly. This was around 5 years ago or so. When the newly appointed factory chief wanted to let the old employees, me included, leave, it was not known that I was the person behind that program. Anyways, at my meeting with HR and the factory chief, I said that I was willing to sell them the program and teach someone how to maintain the program. The factory chief laughed in my face and said it was company property and that it was simply their program and not mine. I offered to show them the source code and everything, but it led up to the point where if I was to tamper with the program before my departure, they would sue me. I was officially let go. 2-month countdown began, and after 2 months I was free. After a week or so, they noticed problems with the program. It would stop loading, stop registering stops, and it would mislabel stops. I knew that this was when the fun was about to begin. After a month, I was called into the office and was told that I had tampered with the program because it had suddenly stopped working. I let them know that someone had to maintain it. I was ordered to teach someone how to do that job, and I told them after you pay me for the program rights. They wouldn't budge and I was told to return to work. When I had a week left, I strolled around the factory floor for a while and noticed that no stations were running my program anymore. I asked some operators why that was, and they told me that it just stopped working. Now we need to fill out forms every time the machine stops manually. I shrugged and told them to thank the factory chief. I left after that week, got a phone call about a month after I left where they begged me to sell them the rights and teach someone how to maintain it. I never sold them that program. Instead, I sold an improved version to another factory nearby, where I am now employed. Edit: I see some are saying that I am in the wrong based on US law. Just editing here to let you know that this did not take place in the US. I made the program during my spare time at home on my own computer. After introducing the program to the former factory chief, I was allowed to try it out on one machine and test it. The maintenance was done on my office computer. After a few months I was allowed to roll it out for the entire factory. It wasn't done overnight, lots of debugging to do. I have not heard anything from the company for nearly a year, so it would be weird for them to suddenly come after me now. Just wanted to make that clear. Now to the comments. I've been in a similar situation, except that any tools I develop on my own time to make my work easier live on my home server. I may access them from work, but I make sure my tools are never created using company time or resources. I automated a process that used to require about 4 days of data entry down to about 2 hours of graphic design. The days of tedious work were entirely automatic, leaving me time to make things pretty and customized for each client. The clients absolutely loved this quicker turnaround and the personalized product, so the company started pitching my work as a more expensive tier. While informing me that I was being terminated immediately, the company demanded that I leave my tools exactly where they were on company computers. So I did. I left my bookmarks in place, and then I went home and moved the tools to a directory that was inaccessible to the internet. They're back to taking days to produce cookie cutter dogshit. OP replied: I never start nor work on any programs, at least the source code, during office hours or at work. Only done at home, saved on some of my hard drives which I can access through TeamViewer if needed. I loved automating processes, especially when I had to work with a program called SAP. I made some AHK, auto hotkey, scripts that would speed up my work significantly. An hour of actual work could be reduced to just 15 minutes. Regret not doing that earlier when I worked there. I only started doing it after about 3 years or so, would have saved my fingers lots of typing and clicks. People like you make my heart sing. Wouldn't the workplace be so much nicer for everyone if personal ingenuity were encouraged? The company just wants the job doing. If you find a quicker way to do it, then you should have half the week off, but that will never happen because then they're not getting value for money. Even though they are right. Ever hear the story of the guy who outsourced his own work to a guy in India for years? No one knew. He was voted Employee of the Month like 3 times or something, lol. He was being paid 100k say, and paying this dude in India 30k. Everyone's a winner, right? Good on you. Unless it was the CEO who came forward and apologized with a nice-sized check, I would have done the same thing. OP replied. I've only met the CEO twice, and that was during town halls. He had no time to visit the factory when there was around 90 more all over the world. Also, I don't think he'd want to talk to me. I'm a nobody to him. I don't blame you. That's just the level it would have taken me to sell and teach them the program. I am retired from a global manufacturing company. One of the pre-employment forms I was required to sign stated that they would own any patents I received while I was working for them, and for a period of 2 years after my employment ended. Any extra compensation I would receive would be determined solely by the company. This included patents not related to their products. 2 months to go and it will expire. Paperwork is ready to go when that happens. I was required to sign stated that they would own any patents I received while I was working for them, and for a period of 2 years after my employment ended. That would be unenforceable for a good part of the globe, and not standard in a lot of industries unless that's what you were specifically hired to do. Yep, that's just like the, in EU, joke no-compete clauses with no compensation that many firms sneak into their contracts, suddenly find in their contracts with no prior knowledge. I had a similar thing happen to me at a restaurant I worked at. The kitchen was made for 5 people when not in a rush, but you know how they like cutting costs. They started firing people and others began quitting, so that meant I had to make do for a while by myself for the weekdays. I was basically running around to all the stations but still managed to get orders out on time. I went on vacation, by which I mean I just requested 2 weeks off months in advance so I could relax at home, and everything went to shit. My boss tried to work the kitchen by himself, and the group chat messages he sent seemed to imply that I had help. Why did nobody prep? Anon, who does the prep for you? I did the prep for myself and others. Where do you guys keep the sauces? I made the sauces every day. Anon, who helps you out on your shifts? Which, nobody helps me because that's how you made the schedule. The reviews from the 2 weeks I was gone were hilarious. I quit soon after and the GM got replaced by a better one according to what my old co-workers said. If you fire the farmer, don't come crying when the tomatoes go bad. Oh, that sounds like a good idiom. You are not in the wrong. You offered what they needed, they refused the offer. You did not sabotage anything. They could hire outside IT people to replace you, cheap bastards that they are. A guy at my company put a line of code in all the software he built to look for his name in the employee database before running. If his name wasn't there, the program would stop. Pretty clever, but it took like 15 minutes to fix it after he was let go. That's when you just make the source code so bloated that anyone looking at it can't figure anything out. Dang, I'm really good at that. 2,000 lines of code for a literal maze game. My mate got made redundant from the graphic design department of a big company. He owned the rights to all the fonts they had been using for years, including their company logo and header. Boy, did he make them pay.